So this raises a question. Be interested in your comments. Is that when you talk about community and belonging and shared faith, very often it feels to me as if a lot of churches want to say to their local contexts, if you come and join us, you'll find genuine community. This is where it is. And I don't hear you saying that's not the case, but I hear, particularly in the Beyond the Billboard framing, that it's an invitation as well to discover community out in the neighborhood and in the local. And that there's something there that must be engaged before we can actually discover what community means inside our churches, to use that language. You want to comment on that?
Well, can I answer you with a story? Because I'm into... So here's the thing. I guess all churches at this point in the year are looking back at Christmas and the Christmas program and, you know, what was good, what worked. And in our more stable church, in Bonnie Downs Baptist Church, this year, we performed the Nativity through inviting kids from the community to come and to, over a number of weeks and months actually, to act out the Christmas story. And so it became a community project rather than a church activity. And it was really very popular. And Newham is an incredibly multiracial, multi-everything borough. And then this group, I think the minority would have been families from the church, came and performed this nativity play for our service before Christmas. And so we did have, you know, we had a Muslim angel Gabriel. We had, you know, families came to watch their kids perform this. And it was obviously, it just brought the Christmas story alive to me again, because when you see that, if you approach the Christmas story outside of the church, lots of the truths of that story become very apparent. So yeah, the nativity story does have the mysterious magi as part of it. You know, the people you don't think are invited to know who the Messiah is are among the first. You know, it's got the shepherds who are normally kept outside of the temple and the structures, who are the first to come and witness. So it just brought these ideas together. Now we do that because we're very much into being part of our community, and taking the Bible out to our context is, you know, a key part of how we operate as a church. But I've never seen that way to approach a nativity service. And it was beautiful. It wasn't my idea. It came up from our children and families worker. And I really did appreciate that Christmas was, I think, more Christian this year, because we approached it from a not beginning with the church, but beginning with taking that story out to local families. And they enjoyed it and loved it. And it was great. Does that make sense to you as part of an answer to what you were saying?
Yeah, it does. It's that you, well, let me test this. It's that you're learning how to not primarily say, here's what we have to give to you, but how the story takes life and form amongst people in the community itself.
Yeah. And it's a two-way street, because then we learn from hearing the story in a different way. So we're kind of recontextualizing the Bible in our community. But it's definitely a process that we're learning from ourselves. So when we hear that story in that way, it's just different. You know, in the same way we have a Wednesday community around a food bank that we run. It's a very big group. It's almost like a church, in the sense that it's spiritual, it's reflective, it's loving. And there's a great deal of, I prepare my sermons in that group. But they also, when I do that, I find that it's not just about them listening to me telling them a Bible story. It's me listening to them and hearing what the Bible says when you take it out of the people who are used to hearing it. And so for me, that's the kind of beyond the billboard experience. I don't actually invite people to Sunday church much. I don't actually think it would do some of them much good, and it wouldn't do the people who gather much good. The whole point is, what's the Christian gospel beyond the Sunday meeting, beyond the worshipping congregation? So 90% of my energy and week is nothing to do with the gathering on Sunday.